Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, the Iranian Supreme Leader attacks Israel and the United States for regional instability. ILTV uncovers the radical roots to the BDS movement, and a star Israeli basketball coach may join the Sacramento Kings. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. Iran clearly doesn't have the best relationship with the Western world. But which country is Iran's leading enemy? Well, according to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, the United States is Iran's biggest foe, with Israel as a close second. On Sunday, Khomeini held a meeting with a delegation of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terror group known as PIJ. During talks, Khomeini denied that there's a regional power struggle between Shia and Sunni Islam, and he even attributed the region's unrest to a colonialist American plot.
میگن که پنجره ها رو باز کنید. این جناب در تبریک عید یه شعری از شاعر ایرانی خونده بود که پنجره ها رو بگشایید. من گفتم بله پنجره ها رو بگشایید که ما بیاییم تو. ما رو از در بیرون کردید. پنجره ها رو باز کنید که ما بتونیم راحت بیاییم داخل.
After the meeting, the Iranian leader even sent out a series of tweets vowing to defend Palestine and praising Iran's Lebanese proxy Hezbollah for confronting Israel. The Iranian leader claims defending Palestine is an Iranian duty that symbolizes defending Islam. The head of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Ramadan Abdullah, has thanked Iran for its continued support for so-called resistance forces in Gaza. This meeting is not the first time that Khomeini and Abdullah have come together. The leaders met 2 years ago, several months after the end of the 2014 war between Israel and Hamas. The PIJ publicly thanked Iran for its support during the war. Reports are now saying that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is considering supporting a new round of Israeli-Palestinian peace talks based on the French Peace Initiative. Kerry has just met with the Jordanian Foreign Minister Nasser Judeh, who's pushing for a relaunch of talks between the two sides within a set time frame. Judeh claims the talks must lead to a two-state solution with East Jerusalem as its capital. France is also continuing to push its initiative for an international conference on May 30th, when ministers from 20 countries will come together to prepare an international peace summit. The idea is that the summit would be held before the end of the year, and it would include Israeli and Palestinian leaders. The French plan is based on the 2002 peace initiative, which was rejected by Israel because of its demands for enormous withdrawals from the West Bank and an influx of Palestinian refugees into Israel, all in exchange for a promise of normalized ties with moderate Arab states. The French government announced its initiative in January and threatened to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state if the talks failed. France has since then backtracked and says a recognition of Palestinian statehood would not be automatic. Last week, Israel rejected the French initiative, saying that the best way to solution to the conflict is direct bilateral negotiations. The Israeli Prime Minister has also said on a number of occasions that Israel is prepared to start negotiations immediately without preconditions. The anti-Israel BDS movement has been a cause for much anguish in Israel. But how much do we really know about the BDS movement? Well, now we know a whole lot more. The Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs has just completed a major study on BDS that helps trace its radical roots. And ILTV reporter Steve Leibowitz sat down to speak with the report's author, Dan Diker.
Steve, our overall findings are that the Palestinian Authority leadership in Ramallah is playing a much larger role in the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement than it had in the past. We have discovered that the top level of the leadership, from Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, to his senior leadership, are cooperating with civil society, are issuing messages calling for the boycott of Israel. But then on the other hand, you'll see that they'll deny that from time to time. So it's a little bit of a complex phenomenon that we unwrap and unravel in the book.
Well, isn't that kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face? I mean, the Palestinians will lose a lot from BDS cutting off jobs from the West Bank.
Well, that's a key issue that we discuss in the book, which is called BDS Unmasked, the radical roots and extremist ends. The BDS movement is actually an assault on the Palestinian people, not only an assault on the state of Israel. and BDS is synonymous with Palestinian self-destruction. This is why, and as we note in the book, it is a very unhealthy and negative enterprise for the Palestinians to be dealing with. It isolates them from Israeli public. It isolates them economically. It hurts them economically and politically. It destabilizes the Palestinian Authority because the Palestinian public is getting angrier and angrier at its own leadership over the loss of jobs of Palestinians that want to work with Israelis in Israeli companies where they're being paid very handsomely and being taken care of as, fully vested and in total equality with their fellow Israeli workers. So the public in the Palestinian areas is very upset at BDS.
Let's turn to the United States. In the U.S., there are a growing number of voices that are questioning Israel's settlement policies. Is it fueling the BDS movement?
Well, on some level, the perception of Israel's settlement policies under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is fueling the BDS on some level, and it works like this. The perception is that that building anywhere outside of the original truncated 1967 lines, the indefensible lines, including in Jerusalem, including in parts of Judea and Samaria, is creating all of this frustration and driving BDS. But the truth is that BDS is a maximalist, very violent linguistically program that calls for the elimination of the state of Israel itself. It is based on the fact that Israel itself, Israel's founding was an illegitimate move. That's what the BDSers are, what we call the BDS firsters, are promoting. And therefore, there's a misunderstanding in the West because they believe that it's Israel's settlement east of the 1967 lines that's driving BDS. But the BDS leadership is saying, no, it's not a territorial issue. It's an issue of existence.
Well, as you know, Israel has quite a number of friends in the United States, and some state legislatures are actually passing legislation which will illegalize BDS. Is that trend having a lot of success, and could it put a stop to the BDS movement in America?
In fact, Steve, the legislative movement, state by state, in the United States that has now passed 8 or 9 states from Florida to California has been very helpful in fighting the hate-filled BDS movement. I think it's clear that local and state legislators and political leaders have realized that this type of boycott activity is simply a new expression of anti-Semitism. And I use that term not lightly. They realize that it is discriminatory, it is bigoted against the democratic nation state of the Jewish people to boycott and divest on the basis of political interests, when in fact it is the BDS movement that is creating the damage to the Palestinians, to the Israeli public, and it has absolutely no place. That's what the legislators are saying, and that's why this anti-BDS legislation campaign is catching on with great momentum state by state in the United States.
The economy in the Gaza Strip is in turmoil with a staggering unemployment rate of 43%. Gazan women who are looking to help out their families financially are experiencing the brunt of this crisis, since they're forced to challenge societal norms if they want to go out and work. Now it looks like a women's center in Gaza is trying to change that taboo by providing Palestinian women with some unlikely work. The Zaina Women's Center in the Gaza Strip is training Palestinian women how to make toys out of wood and cloth. The center has launched carpentry and sewing departments in the Gaza Strip village of al-Nasser, where women can build the toys and sell them for their own profit.
سمعت أنا عن إعلان بالبلدية عن تسجيل النجارة للستات، فحبيت وسجلت في هذا التدريب لأني أنا كنت من الأول عندي هواية في النجارة، بس كنت حابة أطورها الزيادة. ولما تعلمت أول حاجة خشيت على آلات صعبة ما كنتش بعرفها.
Many of the women initially faced backlash from their families for pursuing careers in carpentry, but the economic benefits of working help some of them overcome any resistance.
بالأول زوجي عارض إنه كده تشتغل منجرة، وبعدين الشيء عادي بالنسبة لزملائي صعب، وغير هيك إنه في الناس يعني بدوا يتقبلونا كستات نجارات.
The Gaza Strip has been ruled by the Islamic organization Hamas since 2007 and has been cut off from the world by a blockade imposed by Egypt and Israel. Israel has cited major concern that Hamas will smuggle weapons in and out of the Gaza Strip if the blockade is lifted. But the blockade has made it much harder for Gazans to find work. Now, 23 women have found careers at the center's carpentry workshop, and they're able to help provide for their families.
محتاجين اللي حد يتبنى هذه المواهب ويتبنى أفكارهم عشان يشتغلوا وينتجوا، وهم كمان محتاجين اقتصاديا، محتاجين إنهم يساعدوا أنفسهم، إنها الست إنها تثبت وجودها وتثبت ذاتها وتعمل إشي لأسرتها ولمجتمعها، دخل على أسرتها.
The women have produced more than 1,700 toys since a women's center was launched. The toys are sold for around $2 to $8, and they include dolls, wooden animals, fruits, and other shapes. The female workers say the special toys are aimed at encouraging children's imagination.
واحنا دايما بنعتقد انه الطفل هو اساس المجتمع، ان انت لما تهتم في الطفل وتنشئ طفل يعني على مبادئ سليمه، تكون نفسيته ممتازه، تكون صحته يعني كويسه، هذه الاطفال انها بتساعد طبعا، لان هذول اللي هم عماد المستقبل اطفالنا.
Life in Israel is expensive, and many Israelis live in a constant state of financial stress. For Israelis working paycheck to paycheck, reaching out to banks to ask for help seems like the only option. But now there's an Israeli company that's offering a different solution. Our guest tonight is Ariel Sagiv, and he joins us from Theriot with more. Thanks for coming in.
Good evening, Natasha.
So let's start with Theriot. The name of this company is very interesting. Tell us about what you do.
Theriot is Israel's largest peer-to-peer social marketplace. Actually, you're probably asking yourself, what is Theriot? What does the name mean? It comes from Aramaic, that's Old Hebrew, and it comes from learning the Talmud, the Gemara, and it means to learn and implement and dig in and take what we've learned and apply it. And Theriot's founders, when we started this company, when it was conceived, we saw what banks are doing to people's lives, how neighbors take a loan and can't hold up to it, and it literally throws them into poverty. Now, what we decided to do is make a change, take technology, our team comes from the technology world, and make a product that can help people, that can give back to society.
So how does this technology work? You say that this is peer-to-peer lending, right?
Yes, Theriot was conceived in the startup nation. It was born here, and we use the technologies which have been developed in the military, in fraud technologies, in surveillance, things you see in movies, and we use it to analyze the characteristics, the risks of a person, of an individual in seconds. We take this technology and we leverage it. Just as an example, we can actually give a loan in the same terms to the office cleaners in this building or the CEO next door, just by analyzing, just by using the technology.
But what are you analyzing exactly? I mean, obviously it's not just financial statistics, right, and data on that individual.
No, it's today people don't use the banking models, which are 100 years old, are not relevant today. People live differently. People use the internet, they use online, they travel. They don't just work at the same place until they go out on pension. These new models, this new credit scoring technology enables us to actually, it's such robust technology. Institutional investors today work with Theriot and use our solution for credit scoring and not just relying on their own internal credit scoring, which is quite revolutionary, quite a change.
Right, so I mean, this is really interesting. Can you talk to us about that a little bit more, right? So, you know, if I go on Facebook or if I use my email, you're basically able to look at what I'm doing on a daily basis to kind of gather what my credit score would be?
We want at the end of the day, Theriot directs its marketing budget at people to not take loans. We don't want people to take loans they can't pay back. We don't want society, don't want the Israeli community to go into debt and not be able to pay. And we use this technology to verify, to make sure that you can pay and you can take something that you can give back, that you can repay. And there are different types of loans, because there might be loans for investments, loans for real estate, for taking a car, for bettering your life. And it's not directed just at the central metropolitan areas, but from the north to the south of Israel, nationwide.
So in a sense, you could say that Theriot actually is a symbol for kind of the future of the financial world.
Yes, we are building financial communities. There are hundreds of active and thriving communities with thousands of people today who are saving money with Theriot and are using it for credit. And this is what the future of banking will be. It's online. You can transparently choose what to do with your savings and not just invest in high street bank offices, bureaucracy, and high wages of the banking industry.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And it seems very, very interesting what you guys are doing.
Thank you, and good evening.
Israel is a melting pot of so many different cultures, and when it comes to celebrating major Jewish holidays, there are tons of unique international traditions to join in on. We thought we'd show you how some Jews celebrate the end of Passover. So ILTV reporter Denise Wood took to the streets of Ashdod to give you a close-up look at a Mimuna festival.
Israelis all over the country are celebrating the end of Passover, but some Israelis are celebrating more than others. We're here in Ashdod to show you how North African Jews are ending the holiday with style. North African Jews have a special tradition of celebrating the end of Passover with a mimuna, a massive party with some of the tastiest food you can imagine. Religious Jews traditionally don't eat any bread products during the week of Passover, and Israelis go all out to celebrate at the end of the week.
אנחנו נמצאים כאן בפארק בן גוריון באשדוד, ואנחנו חוגגים את חג המימונה. כמו שזה נראה, כולם עושים מנגלים, זה המסורת של העם היהודי.
Now the technical mimuna was Saturday night in Israel, but once you see the food that's prepared for the occasion, you'll understand why they want to keep celebrating. They traditionally hold a festival in Ashdod the next day that's filled with barbecue to offset all the dessert from the night before.
היום זה מין פיקניק כזה בחיק הטבע, כאילו חוגגים את החירות אחרי כל הפסח. אני הכי אוהבת את המופלטה בערב, זה אוכלים פשוט את הלחם, את החמץ. אחרי כל הפסח.
מופלטה זה בצק כמו פיתה כזאתי שמחממים אותו. זה נקרא מופלטה, זה עדה כזאתי מסורתית של המרוקאים.
One of the most special parts of the Mimuna is the open door policy, meaning families prepare food and keep their door open to welcome anyone who comes by. You can even see that mentality in today's festival, which welcomes Israelis from all over the country to come and join in the festivities.
זה יום שאחד בא מבקר את השני בשמחה ובאהבה. זה יום כזה שלא מזמינים אחד את השני, הדלת פתוחה.
בדרך כלל חוגגים בחוג המשפחה, זה בתים פתוחים כאלה, וכולם יכולים לבוא ולחגוג.
And if you're wondering why mostly North African Jews celebrate the Mimuna, we have an answer for that too.
המימונה זה מסורת כזו שבאה בדרך כלל מרוקו, אלג'יר ועוד מזרח. והמטרה שלה זה לקרב בין המשפחות, החוצה עם כולם.
So there you have it. The Mimuna is filled with love, laughter, and a lot of good food. It might not be good for the diet, but it's certainly good for the soul. I'm Denise Wood here with ILTV.
The Sacramento Kings may soon have a lot more Israeli fans because Israeli-American basketball coach David Blatt may end up coaching the team. If he gets the job, he'll even start working side-by-side with the Israeli basketball star Omri Caspi. Blatt interviewed to coach for the New York Knicks last month and was also considered by the Los Angeles Lakers. But now it looks like he's on the radar of the Sacramento Kings. The star coach formerly coached the Cleveland Cavaliers, and at the time the team had the best record in the Eastern Conference. Many claim the Cavs superstar LeBron James led Blatt to eventually leave the team, but it doesn't look like Blatt plans on leaving the NBA anytime soon. Blatt says he wants to remain in the NBA instead of returning to coach in Israel or in the European leagues. He led Israel's Maccabi Tel Aviv team to 5 national titles and the 2014 EuroLeague championship. If Blatt starts coaching the Sacramento Kings, Israeli fans will be undoubtedly ecstatic, because they'll finally be able to see the Israeli coach working side by side with Israeli basketball star Omri Caspi. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. All this recent talk about the Mimuna festival is making us hungry, and Israelis love to meet up with friends for a good old-fashioned barbecue. So today's word is actually a phrase, ala esh, which means barbecue. Ala esh literally translates to on the fire, so if you go to an ala esh, you can definitely expect some tasty grilled food. And like most Hebrew words, ala esh can also be used as slang. If someone asks you to do something and you want to tell them that you're taking care of it, you can say ze ala esh, or it's already on the grill. So whether you're wanting to show off your efficiency or just enjoy some great barbecue, you can tell your Israeli friends that it's all ala esh. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. It's hot and sunny today in Tel Aviv with a high of 76 degrees. Tuesday is expected to warm up to 88, but the skies will be partly cloudy. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.75 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv. And don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tonight.